Hello, Canucks fans. Welcome back to another episode of Canucks Conversation brought to you by Bet365. We're coming to you from the Pacific Toyota Dealers Studios. Visit shoptoyota.ca or visit your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. My name is Dave Woodrelli. Today, I'm joined by technical producer Jacob Lazar, who's going to co-host the show today. Jacob, walk us through this mustache here.
All right. So it was my friend's wedding in Calgary, and I figured, you know what, I wanna mix it up. I've wanted to go with the mustache for a while. My wife hates it, but all my friends liked it.
I like it. Put me
My
down for
father-in-law
like it.
liked it. So
Put me down for like it.
yeah. So yeah, that was it. Now I'm you'll hear it in my voice. I'm still recovering. It was an Indian wedding, so it was multiple days, a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings, and a lot of yelling and screaming and singing and dancing. So. My voice is strained, but I'll power through to co-host with you today.
And people are wondering where Harm is. New York Times Athletic. Yeah. They do their yearly bring everybody out to New York. And Harmon was sending to our group chat over the weekend. Dude was at a Yankees game. He walked in as soon as the Yanks hit a homer. So he was like, and that was the funny thing. He was texting our group chat. He's like, do you guys think I should go to a Yankees game? Like, I've never been to an MLB game. And we were like, Harmon, there is much worse places you could go for your first MLB game than the Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. You're already there. Go to Yankee Stadium. So we can't wait to hear from Harm with his New York experience. He'll be here on Wednesday. So today you got me. Tomorrow you got Jacob. I think tomorrow we'll be joined again by Jeff Patterson. A couple people in the chat. Paul Papadoulis. Congratulating me on my wedding. And thanks, Paul. Appreciate that.
You're gonna get that. You're gonna get that a lot now, Quads. A lot of the regulars who are maybe traveling in the summer, taking some time off. Obviously, we didn't do as many shows, so you're gonna get the congrats on the wedding probably every show from now until the start of the season.
Well, for the sake of every other listener of this show, I'm gonna have to cut off when I individually say thank you to people. But I got a lot of congratulations today because I was at the Jake Milford golf tournament, as were other Vancouver Canucks media, who most of the people that were congratulating me were fellow media, but we've got a lot to get to. So I want to get to our stuff from the Jake. Before I do that, I want to tell everybody about our Super Chat charity partner this season, the BC Mental Health Foundation. You want to make sure your question or comment gets on the show, hit us with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to the BC Mental Health Foundation, changing the face of mental health and addiction by supporting breakthroughs in care, public understanding, research, and knowledge exchange. Okay, about as eventful as the Jake Milford tournament gets, I would say. I've been there in past years. This was the most media I've ever seen at the Jake. Last year was very underwhelming. I think we got like 2 players that spoke. Today, we heard from Elias Pettersson, Brock Boeser, Tyler Myers, and Kevin Lankinen. We're going to dive into each one, but I think the big one to start with is Elias Pettersson. We're going to play the availability in full, but I think the big takeaways are Pettersson has put on weight, and Pettersson is, back to his normal self. It seemed like when he was talking to the media. So we'll just play the full audio. Jacob, you and I can break it down afterwards.
Yes, welcome back. How was the summer? How are you feeling going into the year?
Yeah, I feel great. Had a good summer. I'm excited to be back.
What does it mean to you that, with some of the signings that were made over the summer, Brock's back, Connor and Thatcher both have extensions, that seems like a vote of confidence from this management group to the core group with this year?
Yeah, it's great. We're keeping the core together. Really excited for it, and I can't wait to get started.
I know you guys won't want to look back on last year too much, but how much sort of fuel to your fire do you have to prove people wrong, and as a group come in and have a much better season this time around?
Yeah, I mean, that's in the past. We can all learn from it, but I'm just looking forward, excited for this year, and take it from there.
What's it like to come back and just see all the guys for the first little bit and just see your guys really?
Yeah, it's great. Always fun to see the guys again and get back to the banter. So it's good. Really happy and excited to be back.
What was the highlight of your off season? Just kind of enjoy a little bit of off time.
Yeah, no, it was nice to be home in Sweden with friends and family, and just enjoying Sweden.
You got a marriage, all right?
Sorry?
You asked the highlight of your summer. Did you get married?
I did get married, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And yeah, of course, with Ira. It was a highlight, best day of my life, so it was good.
This time last year, there were a lot of questions about your health and well-being. Just a general thought on where you are as you hit the ground running this year?
Yeah. Well, I added 6 kilos, so you can add that to whatever headline.
How do you think that's going to help you?
No, well, jokes aside, no, I feel good. It's been a long summer, so I just tried to add some muscles and be ready to be myself again out there, and I feel confidence that I will.
With the early skates, are you feeling more like yourself?
Yeah, I feel good. It's been I had a long summer of training, and so it's been good.
When Lita, as if Brock was coming back, that must have been pretty exciting for you. He's been such a good friend. Is it a reaction?
Yeah, it was great. I wasn't sure what I was expecting. So once he signed, I just texted him thank you. So it was good.
How much has Brock meant to you as friends, a teammate since we've been?
No, he's been here all my years when I've been here, and it's one of my closest guys in the team. So it meant was really good, and happy to see that he signed here.
You said you texted him and said thank you. Had you been texting him beforehand, being like, please, please, please?
No, I mean I've been I had talked to him a little bit, but not too much, and but yeah, not too much.
Kind of delicate balance, like.
Yeah, no, I mean, contract situation are no fun. I mean, especially in his situation. So he knew he always had my support, but yeah, didn't want to stumble on his toes or whatever.
How wholly were you able to train this summer? And of course, you were hurt at the end of the year, but I heard you stayed in mine a couple of weeks. You got treatment. Did you feel like it was total green light? You got to do everything that you wanted to do physically to prepare?
No, nothing was holding me back this summer, as in what we wanted to do in training. Some small tweaks or whatever, but everybody has done, I'll say. But nothing was holding me back to do the training that we wanted to.
The Sedins used to say confidence is knowing that you're as prepared as you can be. Because of what you went through to train last summer versus this summer, do you feel more confident now? Do you feel more ready for a season, a hockey season?
Yeah, no, it's been a good summer training, and so yeah.
How do you feel heading into a season with another head coach?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's been my coach or assistant coach for 3 years now, I think. So he's a great leader. He's good to talk to, and just been having the talks we've been having over the summer. It's been really good. So I'm really looking forward to it.
You guys showed how good a team you could be 2 years ago. Do you feel, because this management group more or less has kept the team together, that you guys have to show that now, that you have to find a way to?
No, of course. I mean, we're gonna try to prepare to be the best team we can be. I know what we're capable of, and I believe fully that we can do good things. But it starts. I mean, it doesn't start today, but it starts when training camp and starts to prepare ourselves, and yeah, to become a really good team.
This year, there's a little bit of a wrinkle in the schedule with the Olympics. So if you make the Swedish team, you could be playing 90 games before the playoffs. So is there any sort of preparation that you do in the off season or during the season to make sure that you, as long as everybody else who's going, can be ready for the playoffs?
Well, if I get to play the Olympics, I'll be very happy and deal with whatever problems come with.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, few things to get to there. The big one, 13 pounds, 13.2 pounds. Very European of him to say kilos. Everyone had to do the math of what they're looking for. So 6 kilos is what he says he added. That happened in 5 months' time. Now, to do that, and anybody who's tried to do that, myself included, doing that in all muscle is super hard. Basically, what you'd have to do is your diet would have to be like perfect. There's no such thing as a cheat day. Like, sounds like at that wedding, everybody was eating chicken and rice, unless that was just what he ate, because your diet has to be perfect in that amount of time. And if there's a nutritionist listening to this or in the chat here, please tell me I'm wrong. But that is a tall task, and that's actually one thing that when we eventually get one-on-ones with players, I'd love to talk about PD's offseason there, because 13 pounds is not easy to do. Now, he did have his season end early. Let's also not forget about that, right? Like, he was talking about toward the end of the year how he was able to get into the gym early. His season got shut down. Remember, got hurt in March, right? And didn't come back, or came back and then shut it down. But the point being, his offseason got off to an earlier start. Like, he was working out in the gym while the Canucks were still playing games. He knew he wasn't coming back. He was getting a lot of time in the gym. So he clearly used that time to his benefit. But 13 pounds is no joke. Like, 13 pounds of muscle. And that's the thing, is like, people are like, oh, it can't all be muscle. If it's not all muscle, like say it's 7 pounds and then the rest is fat or whatever, right? Like, you can have a little bit of body fat on you and still be in really, really good shape to play in the NHL. Like, if he's put on weight and he feels strong, like the alternative is he gets gassed immediately and he looks sluggish out there. Then you've flown too close to the sun. That's not what we want. That's not what you want. But he's talking about how he feels great. He's talking about how he feels like he's in a great position for a bounce back, all this sort of stuff. Everything you just heard from Elias Pettersson, I don't get the sense that he's going to come into the season and be, looking, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but actually, yeah, Jake Virtanen. He's not going to come in and be the last guy in the skating test. You wouldn't expect. Like, that's not what I gained from that Elias Pettersson media avail. It seems like he's put on most of that in muscle. Now, 13 pounds of muscle, that's tough. But hey, 10 pounds of muscle, 11 pounds of muscle, you're stoked about that. You're absolutely stoked about that.
And I think we're going to know pretty quickly as we get into training camp how that's going to impact the way that he skates, the way that he shoots, the way that he plays along the boards. A lot of the things, all three of those things that were fair criticisms of his game last year. I mean, he's never been a good player along the boards. Well, he's stronger now. He should be better along the boards. He should be able to stand up to bigger, stronger defensemen if he's put on that muscle. If he's stronger, his shot should be stronger. And, obviously he has not dealt with wrist injuries for a while from what we know. If the wrist is fully healthy and he's put on some strength, his shot should be back. And we'll know very quickly in training camp when we see him shooting on Demko, on Lankinen, on really good goaltenders. If he's beating them clean in training camp, that's going to be the headline on Canucks Army Quads. You're going to be writing the stories very early on while we're up in Penticton. And then the skating. And I think there's a couple things to think about with that. Like, if he's heavier, I mean, it's harder to get extra weight moving. That's just normal. But if you've got that leg strength and you have a bit more of an explosive burst, that can be helpful. And if he's got the endurance to go along with it, then I think this new, bigger, stronger PD is going to be evident right away. And it probably is going to fit his game better than being slim was, right? Like, he's not the fastest guy in the league. He's not Nathan McKinnon. He's not Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
But if he's quicker than he was last year and can shoot harder and can win more battles, he's going to be very effective for what the Canucks need.
Like you're just saying, like, his style, like, also stay on your feet. He has to start staying on his feet. Like, that has to be part of this. It has to be, you're tougher to knock off the puck. And I don't care how you put on the weight. If you're heavier, you're tougher to knock off the puck. And let's be honest, like, let's get over this idea that, oh, PD got heavier by just downing ice cream in McDonald's. Like, no. Let's get past that. The guys put it on in muscle. Okay. So yeah, maybe there's a pound or two of fat, whatever. But again, we're missing the point here. He is training with the idea of, I need to be better next year. I'm sure he hit legs this offseason. Like, I'm sure that's what was part of his training regimen this offseason. And that's going to make you stronger on your skates. That's going to make it tougher to knock you off the puck. And like you just said, Jacob, he's now got the frame to match his play style. Like, he's not a burner. This frame should really help him in the game that he tries to play. So again, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. It's like everybody in the chat, everybody in the comment section on whatever social media platform we posted this to said, you believe it when you see it, but this is a good start for Elias Pettersson. The worst case scenario for Elias Pettersson today at the Jake Milford golf tournament, other than what might happen on the course, is he comes out and says, you know what? I actually suffered another injury. It limited my training, but I'm good now because guess what? That's what we heard when the knee tendonitis became a conversation. That's what we heard. Literally at this time last year, that's what we heard was I had to train around an injury, but I'm 100% good now. I'm good now. And you'll remember, Jacob, I said this in training camp as well. I said, why are we all just believing that this knee injury is just magically gone just because he says it's gone? He said he was training around it. He was dealing with it all off season. And then he comes out and says, oh, but I'm good now. I'm good now. No, I didn't buy it. And I'm not saying that it was just a knee injury that bugged him last year, but clearly he wasn't at his best last year. Clearly he didn't prepare well enough last year. And that's going to be a really interesting conversation when we speak with Patrick Allvin, when we speak with Jim Rutherford. That'll come next week. When we talk to those guys, like they really, I should say Allvin. Usually it's Rutherford that makes things talking points, but Allvin made it a talking point when he said, like, PD's off-season training plan is going to be a topic of conversation at his exit interview. That's what Allvin said. Like, Allvin publicly said that. So now we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about PD's off-season. And but according to PD, it went great. 13 pounds. You have to be pleased with that if you're Patrick Allvin. And of course, they're going to get asked about that. They're going to get asked about what it, how they feel PD's off-season went. And really, the answer might end up being, ask me after 10 games, ask me after 20 games. If we give him truth serum, that might be the answer, but I'm sure they're just going to say, oh yeah, please. Yeah, it's good he added on weight. But really, like everybody in the Canucks Army comment section saying, Allvin and Rutherford would probably want to say the same thing. It all matter. It really doesn't matter until we see what he's able to do with this frame.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, all the eyes are going to be on him in training camp.
Yeah.
Because last year, all the eyes were on Demko. I remember you and I were sitting up in the press box area with Chris Faber, and I had the camera out, zoomed in on Demko as he was out on the ice before the main group, and we posted that, and it went viral, and everyone was saying, what's up with Demko and the Demko media scrum? And then, of course, he wasn't good to go for the start of the season. He wasn't good to go for a few months into the season. We don't have that this year. We know Demko is healthy. We know that Quinn Hughes is going to be there, and Boeser is signed, and the goaltending situation is shored up. Lankinen signed before training camp, not right at the end of it. So what's going to be the main story at training camp? And I think it's going to be, how does Elias Pettersson look? And yeah, you're right. Like, if you're going to ask Allvin and Rutherford, they're going to reasonably say the right things now, but internally they're going to say, well, we need to see how this holds up throughout the season. But for us in the media and the fans, we want to see how he looks in training camp. We want to see him blowing by defensemen along the boards and being shiftier and stronger on the puck and not getting knocked over, doing the things that we know he can do. We know he's a great puck handler. We know he has a great shot. And if he's doing that in training camp, then it's just going to draw up the excitement heading into preseason games. And we'll see flashes in preseason like we normally do. And then opening night comes in just under a month from now. And there shouldn't be as many question marks about Elias Pettersson. The conversation at that point should be, he looks bigger, he looks stronger, he looks ready to go. How many points is he going to put up? How is he going to lead this team up front? Can they be a playoff team with him as the number one center? And I think those are all conversations we want to be having in October, not the what's going on with PD, why isn't this working out? We've had a year and a half of those conversations. I'm ready to watch prime Elias Pettersson again, because we were spoiled when Elias Pettersson was putting up 100 points for the Vancouver Canucks. Like, he was legitimately one of the best players in the NHL, and people have forgotten that over the last year and a half.
Perfect time for a revenge season. Perfect time for a revenge season. Okay, we got about 5 minutes of Brock Boeser audio here. Jacob, what do you think? Do you think we should do the Boeser audio? Did he say enough to?
Yeah, we might not play the whole thing, but the first bit, he talked about the contract situation a little.
Yeah,
I think there's some good stuff in there.
Okay, you cut it short whenever you feel like it's time.
Summer was good. I felt like it went by fast, but that's how it always goes. I'm super excited to be back, and anytime we get to this tournament, that season's right around the corner. So I've been back for a little bit now, and I'm ready to go.
Super excited to be back, especially with how everything played out around the contract and July 1st and all of that. Did that sort of, after that played out, give you a chance to sort of appreciate the opportunity to come back and be a part of this team again?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, it was a very stressful time, and I'm just happy that it's over and done with, and now I can just focus on playing hockey. And obviously, I said that I want to be here from the start, so I'm super excited, and I'm really happy I can just focus on hockey now.
How's your golf game?
It's all right.
What do you make of where this team's at heading into the season? I know there's a lot of to come before you guys actually hit the ice, but
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a lot of good parts to our team. You know, we have a lot of strong foundations with, with the goalies and the defense, and obviously we talked about our offense from last season wasn't that good, so we obviously need to be better. So I think that's a key focus. But I think we just got to make sure that we're moving on from last season and focusing on this season and making sure it's a fresh start.
What's it been like just to see some of the guys be back on the ice and just get back to go with this group?
Oh, it's been great. We have a great group of guys on this team, and I know every day guys start trickling in, and it just gets me excited and it gets me ready to go for the season. And I'm kind of getting sick of the summer skates, so I'm kind of ready for the first day of camp.
What was the most fun thing you did this summer?
I went to Italy and Croatia right before the free agency period, so I don't recommend that for anyone else going through that. Kind of was stressed on a trip you're not supposed to be stressed on, but I was good.
Brock, you referenced last year, and I know you guys want to turn the page, right? How far can good vibes carry a group if you truly can put last year in the mirror?
Yeah, we got to put in the mirror. There is some positives to build on, but I think we have such a great group of guys. I think if we come together as one and work together and push each other each and every day, I think they always talk about the start. I think the start's important, so I think that starts day one of camp on a week from Wednesday. So we got to make sure that we're ready to go.
I like Brock a lot.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna get
I
out
do
and
too.
say that. Like, he gives such good answers, thoughtful guy. Said it a few times, but I'm happy this guy's gonna finish out his career in Vancouver. He absolutely deserves it. So, Brock Boeser, a couple things that I want to say there beyond just I like Brock Boeser. The Midwest accent. Did you catch it?
Oh yeah. Oh
Just
yeah.
excited
Paul
to play
Papadoulis in the
hockey.
chat. Same thing.
Just
Yeah.
excited to get back to playing some hacky. That is awesome. Okay. In all seriousness, I do love the accountability from Brock Boeser, right? The forwards weren't good. We need to be better. And this is, again, it feels like that Canucks season was so long that it's like hard to remember that in December, in January, this team was running a defense core that had like Vinny Desharnais still trying to be in the top four. Like, think back to what those lines actually looked like. And someone pointed this out on the Canucks Army Instagram today. And shout out to whoever that was. I forgot his name. But what he said was like, we never actually got to see Marcus Pettersson and Quinn Hughes, a healthy Quinn Hughes, in the same defense core. Because if you remember, Hughes gets hurt in the Dallas game. Then he comes back. He's clearly banged up, trying to help with the playoff push. He wasn't himself down the stretch. You didn't see Marcus Pettersson and Quinn Hughes together, a healthy Quinn Hughes together in the same defense core. Again, not to get too ahead of ourselves, but that's an exciting thing that I just feel like we haven't really talked about in itself. But Brock, again, focusing on the forwards and how they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. I know I said this on the last show as well, but I didn't think it was that bad of a season for Brock Boeser. The big question for him is, how's he going to mesh with Elias Pettersson? Is he going to have to play with Philip Hedl? His best center after JT Miller got traded is Pius Suter, and they traded him or not traded, but they got rid of him as well. So now you're going to have to figure out how to play with Petey. You're going to have to figure out how to play with Hedl. Those are the big questions for Brock Boeser heading into this year. What did you make of his media avail there?
So a few things. And first off, to your point, yeah, we haven't seen a healthy Quinn Hughes and a settled in Marcus Pettersson together. We've also barely seen like Demko and Lankinen together as a goalie tandem as well, right? For large chunks, Demko was not healthy. We know that. Lankinen dealt with some injuries, and people seem to forget that as well. I'm curious, with a healthy meshed decor and two really good goalies, and we know what Demko is capable of at his best, like this team could be one of the best, if not the best defensive team in the league. Like, would it shock you if the Canucks were like second in the league in goals allowed by the end of the year?
No, I mean, again, we're talking 23-24. Like, I think this is a better defense core than they had in that year. And again, they did a lot of different things, and we dove in on this deep in the last episode, and we don't need to go further. But I think it's a great point, Jacob. I really do.
Now, as far as Brock was fine last year, and I think he in his availability, he mentioned the forward group and he grouped himself in with that and needing to be better. Like, he was far from their biggest problem last year, but he knows that there's another gear. And, he had the concussion from the Tanner Jeannot hit. Up until that point, I think he had 6 goals in 13 games. So he was on a 40-goal pace again. I'm very curious to see how Brock Boeser starts the year. And if he's off to another great goal-scoring start, I think that's just it's going to ease a lot of the concerns people have with this Canucks team. We know Jake DeBrusk is going to chip in with his fair share of goals. We saw it. He was streaky at times, but it seems pretty obvious that when Jake DeBrusk is healthy, he's going to score goals. He's done it his whole career. Pettersson is the big question mark. We just talked about him. But if Brock Boeser gets off to a hot start, okay, now you feel a little bit more comfortable about what your top 6 looks like. And you know that they're should be able to score enough goals to deal or to win games based on the back end that they have. The last thing I want to say, and we've brought it up a few times, people talk about last year as if it was like the worst season in Canucks history. That was their 3rd best season of their last 10. They had 90 points. Everything went wrong. Pettersson had the worst year of his career. Hughes got hurt. Demko was hurt. The JT Miller stuff and him getting traded, having to basically rebuild the D-core in the middle of the season, and they still had 90 points. So, were they as good as they were in 23-24 when they won the Pacific with 109? No. Were they as bad as they were last year when everything went wrong? No. But if they find the middle ground, that's like 98 points. And 98 points gets you into the playoffs every year.
Couldn't have said better myself. No notes, Jacob. We dove in on this on Thursday as well. Like, the worst version of the Canucks seems to be what it was last year. You're hoping, again, good vibes. We talk about good vibes. How far can good vibes take you? It can take you far. I believe that. I absolutely believe that. Okay, we don't have a poll question. Instead of the poll question, I want to pull up the grid that we did, Jacob. But before we do that, I want to quickly mention a couple things. The first one, Tyler Myers and Kevin Lankinen also spoke. Lankinen talked about wanting to make Team Finland for the Olympics. Shocker there. Talked about how he believes him and Demko are one of the better tandems in the league. We're going to dive in on that. Tyson Cole's going to explore that for us tomorrow at Canucks Army. So make sure you read that, CanucksArmy.com, Tuesday morning. That'll be
and the full scrums are available on Canucks Army YouTube channel.
There
All 4 of them are up there right now.
Beautiful. Love it. Kane did not speak. Someone asked if we have Kane. Kane didn't speak today, but Kane spoke at the first summer skate. We wrote about it at CanucksArmy.com. The quotes are there. Okay, before we get to it's not even a poll question. Before we get to all the stuff we want to talk about with the grid there, I want to tell everybody about Daily Faceoff, all their tools, and the Daily Faceoff Fantasy Draft Kit. I did this over the weekend at Canucks Army. I wrote about the 10 players that are on the top 300 rankings for DFO. Look, if you're drafting a fantasy hockey team this year, first of all, there's some really good Canucks sleeper picks. Everybody's down on the Canucks this year. There's going to be some really good picks that you can find late in your drafts. We'll talk about that another show. But I did want to mention the Daily Faceoff Fantasy Draft Kit, your one-stop shop for everything you need to build the perfect fantasy hockey team. We're talking player projections, updated line combinations, power play units, sleeper picks, bust warnings, and team previews. Basically, all the tools to make you look like a genius and your friends look like they drafted blindfolded. Whether you're a seasoned vet or a fantasy rookie, this kit has everything you need to dominate your league. So before you make your first pick or panic in round 5, head over to dailyfaceoff.com/draft kit and get your hands on the DFO Fantasy Draft Kit. Fantasy hockey domination starts at dailyfaceoff.com. Go now. Your bragging rights depend on it. I love Daily Faceoff, obviously, for a lot of reasons. I help run Daily Faceoff, but Daily Faceoff, their fantasy tools, like, I feel like people don't really know everything they have available. You've got to check it out. You've got to go to dailyfaceoff.com, click Draft Kit in the top there. It is a really, really good resource. And like I said, you're going to find some really good sleeper picks when you look at this Canucks team. Like, Evander Kane could be people's last picks. That's a total wild card. You don't know where he's going to play. You don't know what kind of power play time he's going to get. Brock Boeser, people are down on him as well, a guy we just brought up. Yeah, it's always a good idea to go to Daily Faceoff and get your fantasy draft preparation done over there. All right, let's get to our grid, and we'll explain what the grid is. the grid, not the grill. The grid. We'll explain what that is in a second. But first, I want to tell everybody about our friends at Greta, which by now you know is a great spot to watch the big game. Did you know it's an even better spot for your upcoming party or event? If you need a venue for a team building or summer, well, fall now, social event, check out Greta. They've got the street food menu, they've got the arcade, and of course, they've got the bar. It's always a fun time with plenty of options. Make Greta your spot for your next event. For more info and to book, go to gretabar.com. Greta Bar, YVR, 50 West Cordova Street is the address. Let the games begin. Jacob, you did some boots on the ground reporting. You've been to all the Gretas now.
No, not Edmonton.
You're not missing much.
Yeah, within the last month, I was in Toronto, and I made sure to stop by Greta in Toronto, and I just went to the Calgary Greta the other night. Both were great. You know, it's funny, like they all have that same feel. So, you know, sometimes I kind of forgot where I was when I was there. I'm like, oh yeah, this just feels like Greta back home. But
That's awesome.
Yeah, all great. My friends and I, we were in Calgary. There was 4 of us, and we were going crazy on NBA Jam. But they had the new NBA Jam, like with current players and like the big HD screen. Oh, that was good. We got super competitive.
I didn't know that was a
ton
thing.
of fun. Yeah. So shout out to the Greta in Calgary for the new NBA Jam. I forget what it's called, but same sort of thing.
Cool. Okay, pull up this grid. Our pal, Robert, who runs the Canucks Army Socials and does such a fantastic job. We love Robert on the show. We talk about it all the time. Basically, throughout the summer, he did an off-season grid where he tallied votes on X/Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and he basically just asked people for the best and worst in Canucks history. He did best draft pick, worst draft pick, best enforcer, best looking, best free agent signing, worst free agent signing, best coach, worst coach, and now you get it. I want to go through each one of these. These are voted by the Canucks Army readers, Canucks Army followers on Instagram, which we've got a lot of those now, Facebook, all our social channels. Best draft pick, Pavel Bure. Worst draft pick, Olli Juolevi. Best enforcer, Gino Ojic. Best looking, Brock Boeser. We didn't do a worst looking. Who's the worst looking Canuck of all time?
I don't know. I know when you talk about like worst looking players in NHL history, I know Mike Ricci gets up there a lot, but he never played for the Canucks. So I don't know who would be. I mean, Gino Ojic might be up there, but that just added to his fear. I mean, he's right next to it as best enforcer. Like if Gino Ojic looked like Brock Boeser, could he have been as good of an enforcer? Probably not. You need those scary looking dudes especially back in the day. I don't know.
Apparently, our Canucks asked 8 years ago who the ugliest Canuck is. Let's see. I asked AI, and it was like, there's no official record or consensus on which Vancouver Canucks player is the ugliest. You know, that's the cool thing about AI. We could write one article at Canucks Army and just absolutely trick the AI into being like, officially, this is the most ugly Canuck of all time. Like, here's a fun one for AI. Ask it about inducting Mark Messier into the Ring of Honor, and it cites a Canucks Army April Fool's joke because it can't detect sarcasm or why that would be a joke.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
I did just pop it into Chat GPT. So it says Ojic, Harold Snaps, which come on, you can't.
Wrong.
Harold Snaps that's wrong. And then Mark Messier because he was balding. So
people said Michael Samuelsson. That is just the most incorrect thing, especially if you like. Michael Samuelsson has aged well. Michael Samuelsson is not the ugliest Canuck of all time. People need to get their facts straight. This is wild. Our Canucks said it's Samuelsson. It's wrong. I think everybody agreed here that it it Messier.
Yeah.
Mark Messier, Brent Sopel, friend of the show. We had Brent Sopel.
I was a huge Brent Sopel fan as a kid. I can't say that about him.
Okay, sorry. Let's move on. That wasn't even on the grid. I just took us there. Tim Hunter, people are saying in our chat here. They're saying Tim Hunter, but we're just gonna settle on Mark Messier. Okay. Best free agent signing, Alex Burrows. Worst free agent signing, Mark Messier. Disagree. I say it's Louis Eriksson.
So that was the one.
And PJ and I talked about this.
Yeah, because there was the controversy, right? Like, I think Louis won the Twitter poll like with 50.1, but then Messier won the Facebook and Instagram.
The answer is Louis. I know Messier hurt a lot of people's feelings, but it's Louis. It's actually Louis. It is.
Well, and because Louis came in the salary cap era. Right. Yeah. Like it was detrimental to the team in more ways than, I mean, Messier was, I get it. But like there was no salary cap back then. You could pay a player whatever you want, and if he doesn't produce, it's just going to cost the owner money. It doesn't actually prevent you from bringing in other players.
Yep. Best coach, Pat Quinn. Everybody agrees there. Worst coach, Mike Keenan. Everybody agrees there too. Favorite backup goalie was voted Eddie Lack. And Lack, who doesn't have Twitter anymore, he sent a video to our pal Wyatt, the stanchion, thanking Canucks fans for voting him as their favorite backup goalie.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite player of all time, Pavel Bure, getting the most votes. I was surprised by that because I thought we had a bit of a younger audience, but Pavel Bure as the favorite player. Best trade was the Naslin trade, obviously. The worst trade was voted as the Cam Neely trade. Funniest Canuck, Kevin Bieksa. Best GM, also Pat Quinn. Worst GM, Jim Benning. And favorite moment was
Slay the Dragon.
Alex Burrows slaying the dragon. I don't think I'm going to disagree with really any of those. That was a fun exercise.
Shout out to Robert because he did this with Flames Nation as well. Like he was busy all summer pumping these things out. So appreciate the content, Robert. It gave us a lot to talk about.
Let's see if we have more to talk about in anyone else, which is brought to you by the Vancouver Canadians. The C's season came to a close this weekend. We want to thank them for their support all summer long. Take a look at their season ticket options for next year, folks. Make sure you don't miss out. For more information, visit CanadiansBaseball.com. This summer was a failure. I know I got married. I know I got a house, all that fun stuff. I did not make it out to the Nat. I talked about it a few times. Well, we had that night where we were going to go, and then it was sold out because those tickets fly off the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I talk less enthusiastically about them, I'll be able to get tickets on a whim next year. But that was not an option for me this year, and it was hard. So I did not get out to the Nat, and I'm very, very upset about it. But I'll make sure I get out there next year. Always a fun time at the ballpark. Like I said, don't miss out next year. Visit CanadiansBaseball.com. All right, a couple things on anyone else. Jacob, you're a Habs fan. I want to lead off anyone else talking about Ken Dryden, who unfortunately passed away over the weekend. Again, one of the most dominant goalies of any era, but especially those mid-70s Habs teams, just so dominant, and he was a massive reason why those teams were so good. Ken Dryden passes away after battle with cancer at the age of 78.
Ken Dryden was, like, people don't realize how short his career was. I believe he retired at age 31. Or maybe it might have been 32. But
he retired right after winning a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, well, after winning 4 straight Stanley Cups. Like this guy was unbelievably good. Like he was like in every sense of the word was like the best goalie on planet Earth. And during those 1970s runs. And I think the biggest thing that you can take away from Ken Dryden's legacy is look at all the goalies in like the 90s and into the 2000s who wore number 29. Felix Potvin wore 29. Marc-Andre Fleury wore 29.
Thomas
Vokoun wore 29. But most of these guys wore 29 because of Ken Dryden, right? And then you kind of saw the same thing with goalies wearing number 20 for Tretiak, especially the Russians. The Bakov was one of those guys. Like when you have, and it's a little different now, like goalies wear weird numbers all the time. But that was kind of a big deal, right? You had this goalie wearing number 29, and then he resonated so well, especially with those French Canadian kids, right? Who maybe they weren't old enough to watch him play, again, because his career was so short. But that their parents watched him play, and there was probably Ken Dryden posters up on the walls in their bedrooms, and they heard the stories of how unbelievable Ken Dryden was. And then obviously he went on, he served as a senator in Canada for, I don't know how long, but still served his country in government after his playing days were long behind him. So I think it's hard to look at Ken Dryden and not say he was a great man, a great player, and he will be missed.
Just to quickly go over some Ken Dryden stats, I wanted to make sure we did this because, like you just said, Jacob, short career, but like one of the most, I'm going to say this, and you're a goalie guy too. You might know if I'm wrong, and Kevin Woodley would, I'm sure, tell me if I'm wrong, but quite possibly the most dominant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 year stretch of any goalie in NHL history. wins the Calder in his first season, where he led the league in games played and wins.
He had already won the Conn Smythe and the Cup the year before, by the way.
Exactly.
He only played 6 games. He wasn't even eligible for the Calder that year.
And he finishes second in Hart Trophy voting that
Yep.
year, okay, in his first full season. And again, like you just said, by that point, already a Conn Smythe, then a Stanley Cup champion. Of course, I'm going to skip just All-Star game and All-Star nominations. I'm going to skip that because that happened in every single year. And he was first team All-Star voted by the PWHA or whatever the equivalent it was back then, in every single one of these years. So I want to skip those. I'm just going to focus on the major awards. The Vezina Trophy, again, the following season, he wins it for the first time the year after winning the Calder. And I'm not doing the Stanley Cups because he won those every year too.
Yeah.
So we're skipping the Stanley Cups, wins the Vezina that year, wins the Vezina in 75-76, finishes fourth in Hart Trophy voting, wins the Vezina again in 77, wins the Vezina again the next year in 78, then he wins it again in 79. There's Hart Trophy votes coming in all of these years as well. But seriously, like the most dominant 6-year run we've seen from any goalie, and really just like in sport.
Yeah.
Can you think of a 6-year run of any position player where they were that dominant? Like, again, we're looking at a 6-year sample size here. Like, probably Gretzky. Like, you could probably go find Gretzky and find something like that in the sport as well. But we're literally talking about the greatest of all time. And seriously, like, Ken Dryden doesn't get nearly enough recognition. Like there was people asking me when I was like, oh, Ken Dryden died. Like there were people asking me like, oh, who's Ken Dryden? And I want to make sure that people don't ask that question ever again. Like Ken Dryden was one of the most dominant goalies of all time, one of the most dominant athletes of all time. Absolutely deserves his flowers, and I needed to make sure we.
Two more things I want to say about Ken Dryden. He's one of very, very, very few goalies from like the 60s, 70s, even into the 80s that you could like teleport and time travel from the time he played into the modern NHL and he'd still be able to play goalie. He was 6'4", 200 pounds. That's the size of a good goal. Like that's a reasonable size for a goalie now. Back then, like most of his peers were like 5'10", 165, right? He was a monster compared to a lot of the other goalies in the league. Also, and I saw somebody point this out in the chat. I can't remember who it was, but if you look at his career, he played 397 games. He only lost 57 games.
That's crazy.
He had 46 shutouts. He had almost as many shutouts as he had regulation losses. Now, there were ties back then, so I get it. Yeah. You know, he had more ties than losses. But still, the fact that he was almost as likely to shut you out than you were to beat him in regulation. That should say all you need to know about Ken Dryden's playing career.
6 Stanley Cups, 6 Stanley Cups.
6 Stanley Cups, 5 Vezinas, 6 All-Stars. He won a Conn Smythe. He won a Calder. If his body had held up and he played 6 more years, I don't think there's any question who the greatest goalie of all time is.
That's a really good point. And that's the thing. Your career's cut short, but we're talking about a dominant 6-year stretch.
Oh, and then yes, Colin Brown also mentioning 72 Summit Series. Ken Dryden was involved in that for Team Canada as well. And again, people often talk about that Summit Series team. Everyone remembers Henderson's goal. Like it's pretty easily forgotten that Ken Dryden was the backstop for Team Canada there. So a fantastic career, and he will be missed.
Have you read his book? It's called The Game.
It's been on my list. I have not read it yet.
I'm going to read it. I haven't read it. I'm just reading because like my understanding was he didn't retire because of injuries. He retired because he got bored. Like he was just like, I've won 6 Stanley Cups.
Yeah, I mean, like that's part of it. I'm sure his body.
He went in depth in the book. He went in depth on why in the book, but he was talking about like how he wanted to get into politics again. Like
yes,
he was
yeah.
He was a lawyer, politician. He had all sorts of stuff, but basically he had a lot of interests in life, and apparently he just didn't really. I shouldn't say got bored, but he didn't really ever want to be a career player. He had a lot of things he wanted to do in his life, and he really did do a lot of things in his life. Obviously you talked about the political career as well, but 6 Stanley Cups, like he was pretty damn dominant in the sport that he chose to play.
Yeah, and he For those who don't know, he played college hockey at Cornell, so he had bachelor degree from Cornell and then a law degree from McGill. So one of the smartest people probably who's ever played in the NHL. Yes.
His name was the thinker, according to the Hockey Reference, which is great. Okay. Anything else you wanted to get to and anyone else? Let's get to some fan questions here. Okay. Trouble on Demand said, as bad as Benning was, I feel like there had to be a worse GM in the 70s and 80s that I have no knowledge of. Daniel Wagner's book, On the Clock, Canucks at Draft, is a really good way to just like dive into all the GMs and what they did. And again, it's a focus on the draft, but it also talks about where all of those Canucks teams were at the time. I don't think there was a Canucks GM worse than Jim Benning. And again, it's hard. It is harder to be a GM in the salary cap era, right? Like it is. It's tougher. But again, there's some short tenure, sure. Like if you want to come out here and make the argument that Hal LaCoy, who served for just under a year, was a worse GM, yeah, maybe, sure, maybe. But you've got Hall of Famers here. Like you've got Bud Boyle, you've got Jake Milford. Hey, we're just talking about Jake Milford golf tournament. You've got Pat Quinn. I don't know, man. I'm not sitting here saying that any of those were worse than Jim Benning. Like certainly there's never been a GM with fewer playoff appearances in as long of a tenure as they had, right? 7 years or 8 years Benning was on the job, 2 playoff appearances. And one of those was just an absolute gift from the last regime. It was a dead cat bounce from the last regime. It's close. But like here, okay, if we're going on that, like Dave Nonis had a similar number of playoff appearances with 1, but Dave Nonis also pulled the trigger on the Longo trade, right? Like, come on. Yeah. What are we talking about here?
And I think
what is Jim Benning's best move as a GM? Drafting Quinn Hughes, who fell to him at the draft. Everyone was going to draft a monkey could have drafted Quinn Hughes at that spot. Like what? Seriously, what's the crowning achievement of the Jim Benning regime?
I don't know.
Because I can go through this list and tell you everyone else's. Like Brian Burke. Oh, just those guys whose numbers are up in the rafters.
It is interesting though, because with Burke and with Nonis, they made franchise altering trades that ultimately they weren't really around to reap the benefits of.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way,
franchise altering trades himself,
just in the wrong way. But as far as like looking back at GMs from back in like the 70s and 80s, like they were an expansion team in the 70s when the league was just absolutely dominated by the Montreal Canadiens. We just talked about Ken Dryden. How do you think the Vancouver Canucks are going to go? They played their first ever playoff series against Ken Dryden and the Montreal Canadiens. How do you think that was going to go? Like you can't really blame them on playoff appearances or playoff success back then. And then of course you get into the 80s, which their division was dominated by the Edmonton Oilers and the Flames were good. And like they really never had a chance to be an elite team until the 90s came around and Pat Quinn was in charge of the Vancouver Canucks. Right. So like I don't actually know the full list of GMs they had up through the first 2 decades. But I will say, like, none of them made deals or changes or managed that roster in a way that was detrimental to the team because they weren't expected to do anything anyways. Like the 82 Cup run was such a Cinderella run, and people don't really realize that.
Okay. Now, a couple people in the chat asked Benning's best move. They're all landing on the JT Miller trade.
Okay, yeah. I mean, sure. Yeah.
It was great till it wasn't. And also, at the time, what were we talking about? Team needed a rebuild. Are we moving away from that and saying, yeah, no, actually trading for JT Miller was the right move? Now, the one thing Benning deserves credit for, he was in charge when they drafted PD. And that was a move that not people like it wasn't a no-brainer to go draft Elias Pettersson at the time. Like Quinn Hughes, everyone was saying rush to the stage, draft Quinn Hughes. There was no way they were going to pass on Quinn Hughes. And if they did, they would have sorely regretted it, like the other teams that passed on Quinn Hughes. But at that point, he fell so far in the draft from where people thought he was going to be. Quinn Hughes was always going to be the pick for whoever went up to the stage. Now, that being said, yeah, deserves some credit for Elias Pettersson. So yeah, we'll say that. But again, that is a long body of work for your best thing that you ever did, and really the two really good things that you ever did being drafting Elias Pettersson and trading for JT Miller. And you give him credit for Hughes too. Give him some credit for Hughes, right?
Okay, so I've pulled up the list of Vancouver Canucks general managers. Bud Poile was the first GM in Vancouver Canucks history. He's actually in the Hall of Fame as a builder, but he really didn't have much success with the expansion Canucks, right? Like, didn't make the playoffs. He was there for 3 years. Hal Layco was next. Didn't even last a full season. Phil Maloney took over. He got them to their first ever playoff appearance in 1975. Won the division that year, made the playoffs the next year as well. Then you get to Jacob Milford, and he was in charge up through the 82 Stanley Cup run. Harry Neal, who was a coach, took over as GM after Milford. Jack Gordon, I don't even know who that is, but he was GM for 2 seasons, made the playoffs once. And then you get to Pat Quinn. So, excuse me. So are any of those guys worse than Jim Benning? I don't think so. Like,
and that's the thing. Those guys, you know what they all have in common? Short tenures.
Tenures.
I think that's what adds to it. Like, if Jim Benning was the GM of the Canucks from 2015 to 2018, right? Which is probably how it should have actually ended up. But anyways, I digress. You're not talking about him as one of the worst GMs of all time. Yeah, in that time, he made the good Branson trade. That hurt them. That hurt them. You know, made some really bad free agent signings. That's going to hurt them as well. But you're not talking about the worst GM of all time. But when you go on as long as Benning did, and you make as many mistakes as he did, and it's like someone in the chat said, a broken GM is right twice a year.
Yeah,
you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that label on you. Best GM should really be Stan Smyl. We know this. December 5th to December 9th of 2021, the Canucks had 100% winning percentage with Stan Smyl in charge. And also, in all seriousness, do you remember that press conference Stan Smyl gave?
Yeah.
When everyone got fired and he was the only one left?
Yeah.
He was almost in tears. I wanted to run through a wall for Stan Smyl. And you know what this team needs? A lot more guys like Stan Smyl. Guys that just, and it sounds so cliche to say bleed blue, but the dude was almost in tears talking about what it means to him to be a Canuck and how he wants more people to feel the way he feels about this franchise and this organization. That's what you need. That's what you need more of. You need more Stan Smyls in your organization.
And Pat Quinn was like that, obviously, back in the day.
Exactly.
You know, like there's no surprise that Pat Quinn showed up twice on that grid. And Stan Smyl, look, obviously he was a captain of the team. He has his jersey retired, but since then his roles have, for the most part, been taking a back seat, right? He's been a scout. He's been an advisor. He's had all these different roles where he's not front and center all the time. And you're absolutely right, Quads. Like, people need to realize this guy is dedicated basically his entire life to the Vancouver Canucks. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think there are a lot of people, a lot of newer fans who don't realize how much that man has given to the Canucks. And if more people, and I'm not going to point out players or management or coaches, because it's not meant to pick on anybody in particular. I'm just saying in general, if everybody in your organization loved the organization the way Stan Smyl did and does, you're never going to lose a game. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, that's just not realistic because Smyl is basically, you know, he's like
Mr. Canuck.
He's Mr. Canuck. Like he's one of one when it comes to what he's done for the Canucks. But, like, you know, if everyone could even be half as dedicated to the team as he is, you're going to see a lot of success.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else you want to get to, Jacob?
No. Yeah, we got through a lot today.
Quickly. What a weekend for the NFL. Like, I know I say I watched till week 5. I watched every game. I was on Red Zone all day yesterday. I get excited for Monday Night Football. That Sunday night game, that was just unbelievable with the Bills coming back like that. My goodness. That was like, if you're new to football or you're not sure if you should get into the NFL or you're having trouble, if you watched week 1 as your that was you dipping your toe into the water, you're going to watch every week of the NFL this year because, man, oh man, that was very, very entertaining week 1 of football.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Seahawks fan. They literally fumbled the game away with 45 seconds left, but you know what? Is what it is.
I like Darnold, though. I like Darnold. I mean, just don't think they have anyone for him to throw to.
Well, the throw he made to Smith and Jigba was great.
Yeah.
JSN's going to be like a top 15, maybe top 10 wide receiver in the league. Like,
yeah,
they don't have anyone other than him to throw to, and they kind of abandoned their run game in the second quarter, after the second quarter, but that's besides the point. Overall, yeah, NFL is back. I love this time of year. We've got final stretch, pennant races in baseball. We've got the NFL. We're about to go to training camp in a week and a half. I'm ready. I'm ready.
People are loving that we did the Ken Dryden deep dive. I think we need to do one on Stan Smeal too. But again, that's
you know what? We've got the video essay series that's going to continue through the year. I think we got to do a Stan Smeal deep dive.
I agree with you. All right, let's close it out there. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be joined by Jeff Patterson tomorrow. So in the meantime, Bet365.
Bet365. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, sir. Okay, let's get to our Bet365 bet of the day. It is a football bet, not a baseball bet. This segment is a presentation of Bet365. We are going with, where'd it go? Shoot. I had it. Receiving yards. Give me a moment. There it is. Okay, receiving yards. We're taking TJ Hawkinson, tight end on the Minnesota Vikings. We're taking his over 42.5 receiving yards. You can get that at minus 110 odds over on Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get it on the game. Use the code NATION at Bet365. Must be 19 plus to play. If you choose to play, please play responsibly. I do want to shout this out as well. The Paul Skeens bet on Thursday, I said 8Ks and people in the chat were like, against the Dodgers? Yeah, against the Dodgers. And what did Paul do? He got 8 strikeouts exactly. He was like, yep, Quads, I'll get you 8 strikeouts. No problem. I can do it for you. He did it. 8 strikeouts exactly against the Dodgers. Just shoved it down the Dodgers' throat. I want to talk about the Orioles game, but we'll save the baseball talk for when Harmon's back. We'll close it out there. For my co-host, Jacob Lazar, and our technical producer, also Jacob Lazar, my name's Dave Woodrelli. Thanks so much to the 2% of Canucks Conversation.
Canucks Conversation is live Monday through Friday, every weekday at 2 p.m. over on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and interact in the YouTube live chat every day with us, folks.